Hi, everyone. We are back with the Janelle Show, and I am here with Jamie Clarke. She is the owner of Soul Paradigm, which is a metaphysical shop where she sells candles and does tarot readings. She has a YouTube channel where she does pick a card readings. She also is a spiritual life coach, which she considers herself a guiding light for her clients to help them get to the next level in their lives. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to talk to you. I love all things spiritual, definitely. So I'm glad that you're here. I actually need to come on because this series is Women of Color versus the Wealth Gap. And I feel like Jamie is doing some things to help women kind of shrink the wealth gap and to be able to push their lives to the next level. So can you tell us, Jamie, how you started in your business?
Okay, so I just decided to take like this huge leap of faith when the pandemic started. I really thought to myself, like, as most people did, the pandemic had really made people take a moment to like reevaluate their lives and what makes them happy and whatnot. And I just knew that for me, like personally working for someone for the rest of my life is not the wave at all for me. Not to knock anybody else, who wants to work a typical 9 to 5. It's not for me. I'm not built that way. But I just wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. And so I knew that I was into all things like spiritual. I love tarot. I've always been into that. I've always watched like witch type stuff when I was a kid. And so I was just like, you know what, maybe I'm just going to start my own metaphysical shop. And like, from there, I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to come up with all these ideas. And like, I've always been very creative, but I've also been very business savvy as well. So I was like, how am I going to bring these two things together, creativity and the business side? And so from there, it kept like growing. Of course, it was a slow process, but I'm here today. So it's just still like a slow process. Eventually it'll get where I need it to be, but it's growing better.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Okay, so let's paint the picture for the listeners. Are you working a 9 to 5 right now?
Yes, I am working a 9 to 5 right now.
9 to 5. Okay.
Yes.
No, that's perfect. So you're running your business, you're doing like a side hustle on your free time. It's anytime you can get doing your business. And then you're also working your job because you've got bills to pay.
Yes, of course. I got to be realistic. I have to be practical at the same time.
Right. Exactly. And so now, at what point do you think that you're going to make that transition? Is it when you meet your salary? Is it when you save a certain amount of money? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs are constantly thinking, when do I leave my job to go full time?
So the biggest thing for me is planning. And I'm an Aries, like through and through. Aries do not like to plan whatsoever. We are very sporadic. We like to just jump in and do whatever it takes. But I had to take a moment and like, okay, Jamie, you need to calm down and really figure out when is the best time for you to actually separate yourself from that 9 to 5 job. And so it's more about when I meet the same salary that I'm at right now, I'm going to be comfortable enough to leave my 9 to 5 job eventually.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So your store is an e-commerce store, right?
Yeah.
A metaphysical e-commerce store. And then you also do the life coaching as well as part of that. So is it more like a spiritual life coaching you were saying, I think?
Yes. So some customers like to do the lifestyle coaching through my tarot readings, which is great because I'm getting advice from spirit. I'm channeling the advice from spirit. And then I'm also putting in my 2 cents as well. And there's just some customers who are like, I don't want that tarot stuff. Like, I just need some advice. I'm like, okay, we could do that.
Right. And so how are your customers finding you? Is it your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube channel, my TikTok as well, which is, doing pretty well. And then I also have my website, which is soulparadigm.com. People are finding me there through Google search. So I have different avenues and channels for people to find me and locate me.
Got you. I love it. So when we're talking about the wealth gap, because the biggest thing for me is that not only we're kind of the bottom of the totem pole, right? We're Black, we're women, so we're the bottom of the totem pole. So we have several strikes against us when it comes to the wealth gap. So I kind of want to discuss how with the things that you're doing, you have your business in place, you have your job. What are you doing to kind of make a transition and make a change to decrease the wealth gap for you and yours?
So one thing I've learned from my father, who is a businessman himself, for as long as I've known, he was an entrepreneur. One thing I've learned is that multiple streams of income is literally the only way to close that wealth gap. And, you know, if you think working a 9-to-5 job alone is going to give you that wealth, like that jump to wealth in some type of way, then you're kind of you're fighting an uphill battle, basically. So I know, you know, my business is one thing, but that's one stream of income. There are other streams of income that I'm going to have to create, obviously. So whether that's passive income or, I don't know, obviously through my job or through my business, you know, those are other streams of income or investments. But I can't just do it like doing through my business. I have to make sure I have other ways of creating, you know, that financial health type of thing for me.
Right. No, definitely. I think I was reading the other day something where people say, okay, you need 7 streams of income to be a millionaire. But what people are not paying attention to is that you should actually focus on one stream, make it very profitable for you, and then bring on the next stream. So people are thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have 7 things, but you're making $100 from each thing. Up, that's $700. It's not, you're not doing a dent in anything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So what are you doing? What is your plan to increase the amount of money and clients that you're getting from your current business so that you can jump to the next stream of income?
So I've learned that visibility is like really important, obviously, when you have an e-commerce site, because if you go on Google right now, there are so many metaphysical stores at this very moment. Even if you just type in Black owned metaphysical shop in some type of way on Google, there is thousands of websites that are being created daily. Right. And so, you know, obviously like Google AdWords it is important to have that. People think it's not important to have those things, but it really is. You need to have those things put in place. And obviously making sure I strategize as well with my website. Like when people go on my website, it's, you know, it meets the aesthetic, right? Like I'm not going to go purchase someone's services if it's like, you know, it's just a blank page, Black lettering, and that's it. I want to make sure the aesthetic of my website meets the customers that I'm trying to attract, you know? That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to do first. And then, you know, there's obviously other steps that are put in place. I just need to make sure I do one step at a time, which is really hard for me. I am a fire sign. So I'm like, let's hurry up and get it there. But I have to be patient. That's the biggest thing too. Patience. Patience. I'm still learning patience, by the way.
No, definitely. I was talking to this lady today, and what you're talking about is SEO as well, right? So she was saying that you should release press releases on a constant basis and then have like a news page on your website, which I had never really thought about before. But you think of a big company, they're constantly releasing press releases, and they constantly have a news page on their website where they're keeping up with the press releases that they release. And she said that's phenomenal for SEO.
Wow, actually, okay, that's a good idea. Okay, thank you. Mental note. I need
there you go. So I've added it to my list of things to do.
Oh goodness, yes. Okay, next step, which is great for me.
Yeah, she was like, most companies, big companies, they release a press release every week. They have something, just even whatever you have going on. You've created a new candle, you have a new tarot deck that you're using, whatever it is, you just create a press release and release it out every, you know, week. But she said for me, every quarter. She said the minimum would be every quarter, you know, but the more the better. You're going to get higher up on Google with the SEO if you have more press releases that are released. And she said it makes your business look like it's a legitimate business, because if the media picks it up, then it's not a spam. You're not a fake business, basically.
Yeah.
So it legitimizes you. So I was like, okay, I'm adding this to my strategy here.
Okay, now I need to add that to mine as well. Okay. That's some new things.
Definitely. So I also wanted to ask, let's talk about the how we can fix this problem that we seem to be having with the wealth gap here and gender inequality. So let's say you're on TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems I've noticed two things. A, that creators of color get less views,
Mm-hmm.
and then women creators get less views.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big question, but how do we fix this gap here? This is ridiculous. Not that you have the answers, but I'd love to discuss it.
I mean, it's such a loaded question without even being a loaded question, but I made a video about this on my page a few months back, and I was saying, like, if you're Black and you see another Black creator on TikTok, I don't even care if you don't even like what they're talking about. I mean, obviously, it can be something that is harmful to us in any type of way. But like, just like the video and scroll, interact with these people's, videos, because you really do not understand how our videos are literally being repressed on this app. And it's crazy because Black creators on TikTok are actually creating most of the trends that are on TikTok. And, no offense to, I can't even remember her name, but the one who got a TV show on Hulu, like that girl, I've seen her still so many Black creators, dances and videos. And I'm just like, she's getting the credit for it. And that's why I also think it's important as well as Black creators, when you create a trend or anything like that on the app, make sure you go out there and you copyright it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole discussion itself, right? So we never think about, I had this last podcast interview I did, we had this discussion about women not knowing the laws and knowing how to protect themselves in all aspects of their lives. And that goes to it, right? So if you have a great idea, an invention or something, patent it, copyright it, trademark, all of the things that you need to do to protect yourself. So yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And then that way, of whatever her name is, I don't even know her name, whenever those people do your dances or do anything that you created or a trend, you have to get paid. They have to cut you a check every time. That's the best idea I could come up with at this point.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I saw that somebody was talking about that the other day. It was a celebrity that had stole something. It was a dunk or something that they had, type of dunk, and the guy had it, the kid had it trademarked or something, and he ended up having to pay them for this like funny dunk that he had done. So yeah,
as he should, absolutely.
That's crazy. So so you're saying we can engage with the Black creators to promote them for. Is there anything else that we can do to kind of help our community to strengthen that wealth gap?
Well, obviously, if there's a creator that you like, or they're creating content that you really enjoy, sometimes giving a shout out as well is really good. I think like one of the things that people are making a big deal as well on the app is making sure that, like, if you're doing some type of trend, or if you've seen something that you like on a certain content creator's page, make sure you tag them, like give them the credit that they deserve. I think that's very important. Or just give them a shout out or whatever it is. It's really important to make sure you're giving other Black creators the visibility that they deserve, first of all, and really making them feel appreciated in some type of way. Because a lot of times, if you don't feel appreciated, especially if you are busting your behind on that app, you're gonna just want to leave and give up.
Right. Right.
And that's just the reality of it. A lot of people give up after they feel like they're not feeling appreciated in some type of way.
Right. Well, people need to feel, it's words of affirmation. They need to feel like what they're doing is making a difference, right? That's the whole point of everybody doing these things, is they want to be seen, they want visibility, they want to be an influencer, they want to make a difference. And if people are not commenting, they're not liking, they're not sharing, they're not giving them their kudos, then what's the point?
Right. And, they try to make people seem like seeking validation is just like, is unnatural, but it's not unnatural. If you really think about it, even from the moment that you are born, you're seeking validation. You're seeking validation either from your mother or your father in some type of way. So it's natural for us to want to have that moment of validation from people,
Right. No. And I'm getting so sick of society saying what we should and what we should not be doing at this point, right? It's like, why can't I just be? If I want to seek validation, then hey, let me do that. If people want to give it to me, then that's great.
Right.
Everybody should just, be happy with where they are. But this is the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So if you could change one thing to improve the world, what would it be?
Oh Lord.
I know.
Very loaded questions. I think the biggest thing first is mental health is like where we should always begin, because there's just a lot of wounded people walking around trying to wound other people, and that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, I'm not going to go on to this other level of like capitalism and talk about that stuff, because I think a lot of that stuff stems from people, like from greed, and greed also stems from mental health type of stuff as well, and just in my opinion. But if we could all start from healing, if we could just all start from healing first, that would be great. I was reading a quote a long time ago where it was talking about it said something like, heal before you have children. And you really think about that, it really starts from there. If you're going out there and having children when you're in a very unhealed state, you're just bringing more unhealed people into this world. And so when does the healing begin? When does the trauma end?
I can take it a little step further for you too. That is 100% correct. I agree with you 100%. But what about the people that are surrounding you? So you're healed now, you have children, but you have unhealed friends, unhealed family members. So at a certain point, when there were this cancel culture that we're in, I understand it to a certain extent, to that extent, not to somebody does something and let's cancel them, let's do that. No, but when you have to remove people out of your life because they're not healed and you want your family to improve and get better, I agree with it 100%.
Yeah. And typically when you are in a healed state, you're able to remove yourself from those type of people, from those toxic friendships. And even with family members, you're able to kind of like love them from a healthy distance. You know what I mean? There were some friends, like when I was on my healing journey, there were some friends that I unfortunately had to be like, I can love you from over here. I still love you, but you can't be in my circle like that anymore.
Right. Yeah. You start to feel their energy, right? You can, their energy starts to affect your energy. Like, wait a minute. So when I talk to you, something goes wrong here. So let's take a step back and evaluate this for a minute.
Exactly. And it's very unfortunate. And it sucks too to have to do that. Especially when you love them. When you love them.
Yeah, so. But people have to, and I say this constantly to my friends and my family, you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will. And it sounds selfish, it really does, but it's very important.
But you know what? There is nothing wrong with the word selfish. I was actually having a very healthy conversation with one of my friends, and we were talking about that, where his mother called him selfish, and he basically told her, like, thank you, because honestly, when I was like, we were talking about our trauma, obviously, and when I was a child, like I heard that a lot from my parents. I love them to death right now, but let's just be honest, they had their shortcomings raising me. And I used to hate that, like they would call me selfish, and as an adult, it brought a lot of trauma onto me because I would constantly overgive to people because I didn't want to be considered selfish. And so I got to this stage now in my life, me and my friend were talking that we're in our stage in our life now when people call us selfish, it's like, thank you, because it took me this long to start putting myself first. I'm happy with that word. Thank you. There's nothing wrong with that word,
Yeah.
To an extent, obviously.
Yeah, I love it. No, that's perfect. I accept it. And yes, I appreciate you for calling me selfish. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is you do a lot of, you do some lifestyle coaching and stuff like that. So if you were to give any advice based on the clients that come to you and advice that you constantly give, you're like, I wish these people would just get it. What is what is some advice that you would share with them?
Well, the biggest thing, it's funny because we were just talking about this. I've noticed that a lot of people who continuously overgive to people and expect people to give to them in return, like that, that is not living in a, you know, in reality. We're not living here on earth by thinking that the more you give to people, the more that they're going to give back to you. And so I've learned to treat my emotions as a bank account. I call it an emotional bank account. Okay. If I'm constantly giving to you and no one is investing back into my emotional bank account, I'm eventually going to go emotionally bankrupt. Right. So I can only give what I actually have in my emotional bank account. And so I have to tell my clients this all the time, whether it's financially, if it's materially, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, if you cannot give it, you cannot pour from an empty cup, right? If you cannot give it, then you need to make sure you're actually pouring back into your own bank account, basically. And so that's the biggest thing. Like, you cannot give it. Like, stop giving from an empty place, because eventually you are going to be completely drained, whether it's financially, emotionally, or spiritually. You're going to be drained. And so I think that's the biggest thing, because I've consistently deal with people who are like, oh, I've been so good to this person. I gave this person so much money. I did this for this person. Well, you know, what did you expect? You can't keep giving to people when you don't even have it to give to begin with. So, yeah.
You would have been preaching to me about 2 years ago, and I promise it's been life-changing to just completely stop that bad habit. Has been just wonderful. Seriously. It's so bad. It's so funny. I went to the park with my son the other day, and I was talking to this lady, and somehow we started talking about being the eldest child. I'm the oldest. She was the oldest, and she's probably in her 40s or her 50s. And she's like, I'm trying to help somebody, and they're not even picking up the phone. They asked me to help, and they're not answering the phone. I was like, what's your sign? She said, I'm an Aquarius. I said, stop.
Lord,
you've got to stop.
I mean, it's so, if I'm trying to help somebody, they're not picking up the phone. Oh, thank you.
Right.
Made my day.
She was getting literally upset that this person is not picking the phone so she could help them with the press that they made of her.
Yeah. I mean, I've also learned the art of not caring as well. That's another thing too, because I used to care so much about how people thought of me or felt about me in some type of way. And I just got to the point where it's like, if I'm consistently living my life wondering how people feel about me, and not to say we don't want validation, like we were talking about before, there's boundaries, right? You got to set boundaries with yourself as well, not just with people. You have to make sure you're setting boundaries with yourself as well. If I'm consistently worrying about what everyone else is thinking about me, I am never going to be happy. Ever. You know, because trust me, there's always going to be one person that is not going to like you.
Right.
On this earth.
Right.
No matter how great of a person you are. Okay. Beyonce has plenty of haters out there. I'm sure she has over 1 million haters out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And she is a happy woman. She got her babies. She got her man. She got her businesses, multiple businesses, and her money. She okay. Yeah.
And these people are still hating. They have none of these things. And instead of getting, if they wanted that, getting their life together and getting it, they're going to hate on this woman. I'm just mind blowing to me.
And that's one of the biggest things too. I had to learn to stay away from very toxic, like Instagram stuff, like Shade Room. I had to stay away from Shade Room, because you look at the comment section, it's just nothing but misery, misery. And I'm like, I could bet y'all have, your bank account is in the negatives somewhere. You probably are living in somewhere you don't want to live.
Right.
Because you're worried about somebody else who you're never going to meet or know ever in your life.
Yep. Instead of getting their lives together, doing what they need to do, it's like, I don't have the energy or the time. Like, you know what? I can't talk about this. I can't read this. I don't turn on the news. I don't do any of those things.
Oh yeah, I got rid of the news. That's because oh my God, I love the news. I love Good Morning America. And now I can't watch it no more. I had to stop.
No,
I had
it
to.
was draining me. I started feeling sick. I'm like, what on earth? And then I realized it was the news. It's so
Yep.
depressing.
Yeah. Because you're literally living this life of like a constant fear, right?
Yeah.
You're
Mhm.
consistently like, oh, I saw this on the news.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
had to stop doing that too. I understand. I'm right there
Fear
with
and
you.
sex sells.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. That is 100% the truth for sure.
It's crazy. So crazy. Well, Jamie, I really appreciate this. This has been absolutely phenomenal. Can you tell for me, everyone, where they can reach you, social media, website, all the good jazz? Where can people find you?
So you can start first on my website, which is soulparadigm.com. You can also check me out on YouTube, which is at Soul Paradigm. And you can also check me out on TikTok, which is at Soul Paradigm as well, where I post daily tarot readings. Yeah, all the good stuff that's over there. I stay away from Instagram because it is really toxic. If you think about it, really, really toxic. But if you want to check me out there, you can check me out at J Latrice Clarke. And that's about it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Jamie. You have been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here. Guys, you have been listening to The Janelle Show. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.